Age, and it comes with.
Please take your seats.
And if they don't feel comfortable with
My
it,
name
then
is
it's easy.
Erika. I represent the EDA Global Development Board, and I'm very pleased to welcome all of you to this event. Both you who are in this room with us at DTU Skylab and all of you who are online. And for you online, I can share that the room is pretty full, but you can still make it should you be outside somewhere. A particular warm welcome to you, Mr. Minister. We hugely value that you have prioritized this event and thereby that you indicate your interest, your support, and your engagement in this topic. We can have a million of good ideas, but to turn them into reality, it's imperative to have political support and understanding between actors on the ground, academia, and in this case, DTU, and political decision makers. We have a topic on the agenda, which today's panelists will try to illustrate from each their angle, and that's the transformative power of innovation. That could be anything, but what does it mean in the context of this cooperation between the Technical University of Denmark, DTU Skylab, and the UN World Food Programme, WFP? How can it support real people who are in real trouble, struggling in real life to get a better life? I left the East African region last year as the regional director for the World Food Programme. And in my time there, we had to deal with the consequences of droughts, floods, locusts, conflicts, terrorism, urbanization, Ebola, and then we added shortly before I left, COVID-19. And that's just causing more poverty, more conflict, more displacement of huge populations, more hunger, and more disease. But East Africa is also a region in this great African continent which is defined by entrepreneurship and willingness to find solutions. One of the main drivers for that is young, educated, smart people. And today, you will meet this group of people. The cooperation you will hear about today is a great example of how technology and engineering skills combined with political support can provide effective and intelligent solutions to huge humanitarian challenges. So you are in for a treat. And in this place, we just had a tour of this place. It's amazing. It's like, it's the sky, I guess it's Skylab, that's why they gave it the name, but the sky sets the limit and so does imagination. But we've seen everything from people produces vegan cheese to electronic Bugattis. So, really. So let me kick off by giving the word to you, Minister Møller Mortensen. You are our Minister for Development Cooperation and for Nordic Cooperation. And again, I want to thank you for prioritizing this event and for spending the next 45 minutes with us. Your presence means a lot. Denmark has supported WFP for many years and always been not only critically involved, but also invested in how we find the best food solutions and get best value for taxpayers' money. WFP received the Nobel Peace Prize last year. One of the main reasons, as stated by the Nobel Peace Committee, was that food security is key to a stable and peaceful world. We can add that innovation in this challenging world is key to food security. We're so pleased that this is an opportunity for you to also meet a team of young innovators from East Africa to discuss with you, and of course with all of us. So can I pass the word to you for your introductory remarks, Mr. Minister.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the warm welcome. And most of all, thank you for very informal already been speaking to you. I'm so pleased to be together with all of you here. And yes, my family name is Møller Mortensen, but my first name is Flemming, and most of all, I'm Flemming just in front of you now. This is really a very, very important agenda that we have met about here today. I really feel it in my body, the responsibility to be united with all of you, to cooperate, to find solutions, because that's why we are living and the best way that we can be responsible citizens in the world. Thank you very much, Erika. Thank you very much to the World Food Programme and to Skylab for hosting this very important talk today. It's a great pleasure to be here with a group of bright young innovators, and I feel it already. This is very important. Thank you very much. I look forward to our dialogue and your presentations here today. The world is really needing new and good and bright ideas to find solutions to all our struggle and our crisis. More than 800 million people in the world go hungry. That is 800 million reasons to innovate for better food security. The United Nations member countries have agreed on an ambition to end hunger by 2030. And we are not close to reach that goal, definitely. In fact, we are moving in the wrong direction. Another very good reason to innovate. Climate change, conflict, and the COVID-19 pandemic have increased the number of people who go hungry. That is why we need new and better ways of working, and I believe that innovation has the potential to help us significantly reduce the number of hungry people. I look forward to seeing examples of that today from Ethiopia, Kenya, and from Uganda. It is absolutely key that we cultivate innovative mindsets, people that have the ability to identify and test new solutions, to help us find ways of working that deliver real impact. And we need the impact, and we need it soon. To me, young people are central to innovation. Innovation and development are best created with and by young people, not just for young people. You have heard that before, and we have to follow that. The new Danish Strategy for Development Cooperation was presented just before the summer holiday in June. One of its objectives is to promote the meaningful participation of young people in development processes. This is a very good example of that. So thank you for all involved partners. The world's largest generation of children and young people today is a great resource for delivering sustainable and lasting changes. It makes very good sense that the World Food Programme has used part of its funding from Denmark to establish the new innovative hub for Eastern Africa. Thank you for that. I hope that the new innovation partnerships between World Food Programme and Technical University of Denmark and other Danish and African stakeholders will help a new generation of young innovators become leaders and partners for change. Young innovators can benefit from the expertise from Danish universities and companies. By the same token, we can learn from them and the way they approach innovation. I hope this is the start of an innovation partnerships between Denmark, World Food Programme and East Africa that will help all of us. Help those in need for better food security. Help the planet and our common future. We have to fight against crisis. We have to fight for new solutions. And we have to fight for that we will stay united to find the right solutions. Thank you very much. And then once again, I really look forward to your presentations. And I can really feel that you have a good spirit, a good energy. And I'm so pleased that you told me that you feel comfortable here in Denmark and that you had been reached by the good colleagues here with the partnerships in a good way. And I will look forward to visit you also in your home countries, because that's another part of what is very important to support you and meet you out there. because that is the way we best stay united. Thank you very much for.
Okay, I'm going to take you up on your word now, Mr. Minister. Yeah. Thank you, Flemming. Marianne Tallersen, you are the Senior Vice President for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at DTU, and your institution is hosting this event today. Not long ago, WFP signed a partnership agreement with DTU Skylab, and already now you have a team from 3 East African countries working with you. So we would like to hear a little bit from you. What's the mission, the vision of DTU in this, and how do you see the dynamics between the role of academia, practitioners, and, as the Minister mentioned, also to fulfill the SDGs and to meet the goals of the SDGs? So I'll give you the word. You prefer to stay where you are, or you want to come up?
Whatever.
You decide.
Oh, then I'll come up, because then you can see I'm very tall. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm supposed to say welcome to all of you, so I will do that. Welcome to DTU. Welcome to the innovators, because you are the most important ones. You are the ones who will really make the change. Welcome to all our partners who we can work with to support the development and the change, and colleagues, and of course Flemming, the Minister. We are in Denmark, we are very informal, so you have to forgive me for that. Also welcome to Danita, of course. Why are we into this from DTU? Well, at DTU we actually have a very old mission that says that we need to use our sciences to benefit society. And I guess we all know that we are in a major challenge, not to say crisis, but then challenge regarding food. And it's a worldwide challenge. So it's not something we can just solve in Denmark and then be happy. We need to consider the whole world. And that's why we are in this. And here, for those of you who have been in DTU Skylab, you can see how we kind of operate. We want to cooperate in openness, in partnerships, mutual benefits, and we believe that we can inspire each other. So those who come from other countries can inspire the Danes, and the Danes can inspire those who come from other countries. The same thing between organizations. So if we together can push the limits on what we can imagine and do something really new, because I think we really need to do something new. Otherwise, we will not change very much. Then we can do it together, I think. If we want, if we dare. We need to be brave. We need to take challenges. We will, of course, fail sometimes. But then we will learn and do even better next time, which will be good. So that's why DTU is into this. This is really important. Food is a major focus area for DTU. And food is so many things, right? It's how you produce your food. It's what kind of food you eat. It's all the whole agricultural thing. We need to focus on that as well. And I was at a dinner last night, and a long discussion on whether you need to be vegan or not. I think I'll not start that discussion here, because that's a tricky discussion. Let's do that in teams and teamwork. But I think it's a good discussion, and it is a necessary discussion. We also need to take some brave choices if we really want to make change. And I think this crowd in this room is up for that. I have confidence in that. That's why D2U is in it. So we are so pleased to have you here, and we look forward to lasting partnerships. We look forward to changing the world together with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne, and also thank you for the way you have received our teams. They feel so warmly welcomed, they feel integrated, and if I understood you right, you felt, all of you, that you hit the ground running, and you already have, started producing, which was the whole idea, networking, etc. Michael Dunford, Regional Director for the World Food Programme in East Africa, and I think this year is your 20th anniversary with WFP, You took over from me last year as Regional Director, and I can testify that the number of challenges that I have left behind for you to deal with has not diminished from when I left. So I'm sorry for that, but keep you busy. But you have also taken lead in a region which represents a diversity and so many opportunities, and one of which will be represented here. So I give the word to you, Michael.
Thanks for... Fleming, Marianne, innovators, everybody, I'm Michael. Delighted to be here. I've had meetings this week in Brussels, earlier this week with the ministry. This was the event actually that I was most looking forward to, because this is an extremely exciting investment and a partnership between the Danish government and the World Food Programme, along with DTU. As we've already heard from the minister, there's 800 million people who go to bed hungry every night. We have an SDG target of zero hunger, and we've got about 9 years to get there. So we can't continue to do business as usual. We have to find new ways of reaching these people, providing them with the food they require, providing them with the nutrition, and everything in between. And so we're delighted to be in a partnership of this nature, because the people that you see in front of you and many out here are going to be the solution. There's a very rich innovation ecosystem in East Africa. We've seen it already. We've got some examples, but they have a lot still to learn and a lot to benefit from the work that organizations such as DTU and others have already embarked upon. I also had a very good session yesterday at CARE Denmark, where we're also engaging in a partnership. And what I see is potential not only to bring those from Eastern Africa to places like Denmark, but potentially also taking Danish innovators down to East Africa and trying to again see what are the needs and what are the solutions. So hugely optimistic about how we can work together. To give you a sense of what hunger looks like, we estimate in Eastern Africa 1% of the world's population lives, but 20% of the acutely food hungry also reside. So there's a huge disparity between the needs of the population to what extent we are able to meet them at the moment. So the key driver, of course, is conflict, and unfortunately we see this increasing as opposed to decreasing. But at the same time, we need to find those solutions. We can't accept the world as it is. We need to continue to improve it, and that's very much the intentions of those SDGs. So again, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm looking forward to hearing what our innovators have to say. When you started, Fleming, you looked across and you turned at all of us and you spoke about the young innovators, and I was trying to include myself in that group. And then I realized you were looking over my shoulder, so, and I think that's wholly appropriate. But WFP is a forward-thinking organization. We're delighted to have been recognized last year with the Nobel Peace Prize. It represents an acknowledgement of what we have done for the last 60 years, what we will need to do for the next 60, and more importantly, that we offer a voice on behalf of all of those who are hungry. So thank you very much for joining. Fleming, Marianne, Erica, of course, former regional director in what we describe as the region that defines WFP. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Michael. And now we're going to show you a video which is hot out of the oven. It actually has world premiere today, and it was made for this event. Just to show you, I hope we can translate some of all these words into showing you what the reality is. I just want to, before I'm asking you to turn on the video, there is one more team. We are represented by 3 teams here, but there was one more team which was nominated and joined the program from the Kakuma refugee camp. That's one of the largest refugee populations in the world. I think around 200,000 people live in Kakuma. WFP ranked them as the 4th winner, and a special program will be tailor-made for them with DTU. The team was not able to join and make it to Denmark this round, but I know that the team members have connected online So we will also meet you in the video, and therefore I just wanted to send warm regards to you in Kakuma camp, and thank you for joining us. And also, of course, wish you luck with your projects. So let me ask you to turn on the video for us.
We live in Kakuma refugee camp where the majority of refugees suffer from hunger and food insufficiency. Therefore, we youths have decided to develop this initiative to combat against malnutrition and hunger in the camp.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let me now introduce the real important people in the panel. The WFP Next Generation East African Innovators Program was designed, as always was explained in the video, to further develop concepts submitted under what's called the HALT Prize theme this year, which is Food for Good. It's seeking ideas that tackle global food-related problems and use food as a vehicle for change. So the program was started with a boot camp comprised of 9 teams selected out of 159 applicants. The teams comprised of students from Kenya, Sudan, Ethiopia, Uganda, and Rwanda. So I'm now pleased to introduce to you and present to you the 3 winners from Kenya, Uganda, and Ethiopia that were eventually picked. And the prize was to go to DTU Skylab to prototype their ideas, to access lectures and networks and technical resources to bring your innovation ideas into life. From Makerere University in Uganda, we have on the panel Joachim Watkidog. Joachim, there you are. Your team's project was to use high-tech in vanilla farming. And I think many of us vanilla lovers will appreciate that. From the Addis Ababa University in Ethiopia, we welcome Kirubel Kitor on the panel to share your project. Which is how to develop nutritious food products from fava beans and barley for children. And finally, from the Kenyatta University in Nairobi, we have with us on the panel Harriet Anyango. And Harriet, you will talk about the super exciting project you have managing food waste through insect technology and providing eco-friendly and affordable fertilizers and animal feed. I think there is always a tendency that we are running out of time. And I think that you, Flemming, really wanted to have a dialogue with our three panelists. So before you leave, I think I would like you to, have that conversation with our three panelists. And before I give you that, I just want to say that you are not the only ones here. We also have your colleagues from the teams in the room, and I'd ask the team members to get up, just wave, so we can see you're here and acknowledge you. Thank you. Okay, so, Mr. Minister, would you like to?
In a way, it's very difficult for me now to cope with not having your presentations in full and have to build up a conversation with you. But I have one question I would like you to reflect on. Because when we saw the video, the text was coming up, how to scale. Because I think it's so important when we have new ideas that we also focus a lot about how do we have the opportunity to scale it. Because when we hear that 800 million people go to bed with hunger every day, it's visible for all of us that we have to focus on scaling.
So maybe we could run it the way that you do your presentations now, just a 2 minutes each?
Exactly. I think it's a much better idea because then I will bring something out of the room.
That's great. Okay. So let me ask Harriet, would you like to start? There's a microphone on the table. And you can get up here if you feel more comfortable, or you just stay where you are if that suits you better.
I'll stay here.
Okay.
Yes.
Harriet. I think it's working.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Our project involves availing affordable and eco-friendly fertilizer and feed to people, not just in Kenya, but we want to go globally. And in the process of our production, we have two major challenges in terms of scaling. The first one is in technological innovation. For you to have an efficient production, you need the technological innovation, and that is where the collaborative partnership between the World Food Programme and the Danish Technical University has come in place, because we have been meeting with several researchers and amazing students who are helping us look at several models that we can incorporate to ensure that we have a sustainable and efficient production. This way we produce more, we're able to reach more people, increase food in the world, but then we're also friendly to the environment. The second challenge we have is in terms of funding. For every startup, one of their greatest challenges is in funding. So with the little that we've had, we have learned how to manage money in creative ways. And we have had several partnerships with organizations such as this collaboration that is investing in capital capacity building, but in terms of seed capital, we haven't had that yet. What we're working with right now is the resources that we could bootstrap from our families and friends. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And, I just hear that the minister is staying on a little longer, which we appreciate so much. Thank you. So thanks for, doing that. Kirubel, will you take so you can take your time, actually. Okay, will you take the microphone?
Okay, thank you very much, Erika. So the Fabarli project mainly works on a really large problem that's affecting Ethiopia and most developing countries, and that's malnutrition. So we're developing these highly nutritious food products by using locally sourced crops such as faba beans and barley. So the main challenge we face is finding experts that can assist us on different specialties. For example, we have food experts that would help us take our recipes to the next level, and also the business development side. But thanks to the collaboration between WFP and DTU, we've been having, we had the chance to meet with different researchers and different mentors that would help us evolve our idea towards the next level. And also, it's obvious for many startups in Africa, seed funding, finding funding is a really hard challenge, even for larger startups. And for us, it's a real challenge. But I hope all the inputs and the information we get here at DTU would help us convince people to invest on our project. So thank you very much.
And finally, Joachim, please.
Joachim again. So Agri-IoT focuses on using technology within agriculture. Now, the problem in Uganda is most of our backgrounds are from agriculture, but we really can't produce enough, and also we can't really preserve and process the food that we produce. Now, vanilla was introduced in Uganda to help the farmers earn more income since it's a very high-value crop. But the problem is the farmers can't produce, but they can't add any value. And even if they can produce, they still use rudimentary means. Now, Agri-IoT, we're using technology to help the farmers to, we're using technology to help the farmers to improve the quality and also to preserve, sorry, I get a little bit nervous. Yeah, sorry. So we're using technology to help the farmers improve the quality and to be able to also store the vanilla safely such that they can improve the shelf life of their vanilla. Because mostly the people who really benefit are the middlemen and the people who process the vanilla. The farmers that produce the vanilla are able to dispense it off faster because they can preserve it for longer. So we're designing a system that can provide them the optimal kind of storage that they can extend the shelf life of their vanilla. Now, looking at scaling, in our country, one of the biggest issues with technology is acceptance. When you introduce new technology, people take so long to accept it. They want to first see it work for others for them to be like, okay, we can take it. But it's something that we have to create awareness about. So working with WFP, DTU, and companies that they'll be able to connect us to, we shall be able to reach out to more people in Uganda and across the East African region where vanilla is becoming a big thing, such that people can know that the technology is actually good for them and they can earn more money if they embrace the technology. The other issue stems from what Harry talked about, is about the funding. Now, in Uganda, 80% of startups that come up usually fail every year. They don't go past the first year. And it usually comes from the funding. Most don't have the funding and also the support. Sometimes the government actually gives out money to the startups, but the money gets lost along the line and it never reaches the actual people that need the money. So those are the main two issues that I look at when it comes to scaling the project. Thank you.
Thank you. You made some very, very important points, all three of you. Can I just pick you up on the last one, Joachim, on storage capacity? I remember from my time in East Africa that in some countries, I remember in Zambia, 80% of the harvest, and they had bumper harvests, got lost because of insufficient knowledge of storage, and it simply rotted. So storage capacity is hugely, hugely important, and it can be done by little things. So very, very important point to make. Eritrea, 60% of the harvest got lost. You know, and the continent has so much fertile land. There are so many opportunities to grow. So hugely important what you're doing. I think we got a very good impression now, and I hope you feel inspired, Mr. Minister Fleming, to kick off a discussion. We can involve also the room. How would you like to?
I think we involve more people, and then I will make a reflection.
Yeah, right. Do we have some show of hands for questions? Yeah? We need a microphone, or you have to speak up? Introduce yourself.
I am kind of want to present an idea. My name is Sinet, and I'm coming from a company called Coin for Planet, where we use ENFT, which is blockchain technology, to try to create funding for you guys. So what I would like to invite is another session at a time where we can discuss how can we help in creating ENFTs for you, so you can have your funding. So it's a new started project, but the whole idea is to basically to create funding for you as a technology founder, and then have the farmer use that and then sell it on the market, and have this internal financial, you can say, system within the NFT and create that funding. Because the main shift, I think, and the main issue is to get the technology shift, and that demands the funding. And there's no equity at all. It's the kind of people who wants to help and do a change.
Thank you.
So it's a suggestion to try another model.
Well, let's be practical here. Thank you very much. And asking you to stay on after the event, meeting up with Morgana, who is the contact person for our teams. But you also made the point how important it is to connect with private corporate business as well. It's not just donations, but it's turning it into real life, and also taking the point of Fleming, how can we scale? Michael, you have a point?
That's a great example. The networking opportunities that this partnership allows. Again, when we started, we were thinking it was all going to be focused very much in East Africa. This trip alone has highlighted that, Danish companies and elsewhere have the potential to be supporting the innovators in Eastern Africa and can equally benefit from the same connections. So, I think the networking opportunities, the private sector, the engagement really speaks to the potential of this collaboration. Yeah. Thanks.
Excellent. More comments? Yeah. Need a microphone. Would you use the microphone also for the benefit of those people who are online?
I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
So briefly, here from Access to Innovation, we've been working with partnerships for a number of years, trying to link up private businesses, academia, NGOs, investors, and government institutions to meet the demands that we see in Africa. What I would like to ask, especially the young panelists, would be what kind of opportunities do you see in linking up to Danish students, entrepreneurs, and private sector? Mm-hmm. For instance, I was thinking in terms of the case when working with Vanilla. I know of the company here in Denmark called Social Vanilla, focusing in Uganda. I mean, there are some obvious linkages that we can create. But that's coming from my perspective, sitting here in Denmark. I would like to ask you, what kind of expertise or insights or network would you like us to provide to support your business locally? Thank you.
Would you like to have a go at that, one of you? Let's take the... We'll keep you busy carrying the microphone just to, make sure everybody can benefit. Please.
So I'll start with the issue of Vanilla. We've actually met up with Social Vanilla already, all thanks to the DTU team. So we're actually working together to see how they can help us through the entire process. The other thing is, when it comes to DTU and then the African universities, what can really help is whenever a project is started, because back at home we may not have the facilities to prototype, for example, something technical, but if we are to collaborate with DTU students, we can actually do a project together. If we need prototyping, it can be prototyped in Denmark, while the students at home work on the business and everything else. So I see that would really help, instead of focusing on, instead of us working from home, we don't have the equipment to do the prototyping, and then we can just assume we can just do computer versions of the prototype, and yet there are actually facilities here that can do that. Thank you.
Roberto? Thanks, Joachim. Or maybe any of the other panelists would like to reflect on the question.
Thank you.
Harriet?
As Triple P, the team from Kenya, we are very open to whatever form of collaboration we can have in form of investing, in form of partnerships. We are using, one of the things we've learned from this project is the importance of using the network around you. And the networks we have with the World Food Programme, the Danish Technical University Food Lab, Skylab, has enabled us to work with several researchers. We have now business advisors. And we're also looking to meet students from DTU who would be willing to work on our project, because in our project, I have a background in economics and statistics. I know about the black soldier fly. However, I don't know the technical aspects in terms of the microbiological technology that goes on. And we are really hoping to meet some students in DTU with whom we can see areas in which you can do further research, because there's so much that is still not known about the insect that we're working on. And there's a report, the Food and Agriculture Report of 2030 says that the future of food is in insects. And so we are really open to whatever form of collaboration in terms of partnerships, in terms of investing, in terms of even working together to do research.
Rubel?
Yeah, so not to waste time, they have said most of it, almost all of it. So that's quite the issue for us. So being able to connect with students, researchers, and different mentors is what would be best for us, because as Joachim mentioned, back home we have no access to certain facilities we are being provided by the Food Lab in our case, for example. And as for the business advisors, we actually have had sessions with them online, but here doing different workshops and stuff, that really helped. But I think I'd have to reflect upon the ideas what my friends have raised, so thank you.
And Roberto?
It's just a small remark to say, actually, I'm impressed with how fast response the DTU students actually welcome our fellows innovators here. And we have more than 20 students that are already working in their projects, and they are really looking forward to keep up this collaboration after the 3 weeks that you're going to be here. And so I was really amazed on how this natural connection happened just by the fact that they've been here in Skylab, and they just been able to spend a few minutes to talk. So I'm really, really happy about this connection that is naturally happening, and I think it's really important for us to facilitate this connection more and more as well. So thanks a lot for everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, Roberto. And I just to add, Roberto, that you are actually managing this group of students and the partnership. Care, Rasmus, and then gentleman at the back. Rasmus.
Thanks a lot. So a question in regards to financing and a reflection. First, I think, Flemming, worth recognizing that we are partly here, all of us, because of the Danish Foreign Ministry, and it's quite rare, maybe we don't all realize that, but it's quite rare that sort of an institutional donor is taking the risk to invest in innovation. So that's worth recognizing, I think. But looking at scaling and picking on that topic to you guys, sort of finding investors in your countries in the region. I mean, in the western parts of the world, we are definitely seeing sort of an increase that more and more sort of both businesses and private investors and so on and so are talking about, you know, investing in food security, in different types of sort of impact investment, green investments and so on. What's the sort of investment environment in the region? Can you attract investors? Is there sort of an ecosystem of investors, and how does it work? Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Let's take one more comment from here, and then we take it back to the panel. Would you just introduce yourself by name and where you come from?
Yeah, hi, my name is Henning. I'm at the department here at DTU called Food. We work with food and food technology, food safety. And on behalf, I think this is lacking, on behalf of the scientific community, I would also like to welcome the startup companies. We have a strong record of working with startups. It's showing that if you really can match the right scientist with the right startup, then you can indeed really move the innovation forward. And that leads me to my question, because now we have the Minister Flemming here. And it's our experience that this is not, innovation is not a quick fix. It's not something you just do over 3 weeks. It takes a long-term commitment to address a big challenge and find new innovations, new solutions, and enhance the technological development. So my question is actually, Mr. Fleming, is there really a commitment so that DTU can stand behind this in a long-term perspective and really accelerate this innovation? I think this is the key question for me.
Okay. So can I suggest that we take it back to the three panelists first, and then over to you, Fleming? Okay.
Okay, that was a really great question, to be honest. So in Ethiopia, in order to convince investors to invest on our project, we have the idea, and the fact that it's a new concept would be really hard, because they'll be taking real risks in order to try it. So as for us, we have already produced the prototypes, and we did the business side by ourselves, but that needs validation from professionals, certain professionals, so that it had to be more convincing to the people we are presenting our ideas on. So that was the real challenge we are facing. So that's actually where the WFP and DTU stand. So at the bootcamp hosted by WFP, we were able to understand how we'd furnish our pitches and how we can communicate with different set of audiences, with different slides and all that, all those things that we need to communicate with our audience. And with the program, with DTU, it's more about the product and business development. So in terms of product development, we have already developed our recipe back home, prepared the flow sheet and stuff, but we really need instruments and equipment so that we could do different testings and take our recipe to the next level so that it could be presentable to those people. And in terms of business development, we really needed guidance, because in our case, we're all pharmacy students, and we might have some knowledge on nutrition, but that wouldn't be sufficient when compared to the people that really work on nutrition. So I think if our ideas get validated by certain professionals, and we have a proof to that, we'll be able to convince investors, but of course we need connections, because it's as Joachim said, the funding is there, but it might not reach to us and get lost somewhere else. So that would be my answer. Thank you.
Joachim, yeah.
Thank you for that question. I want to repeat some of the things I would have said, just like his, but the investment environment in Uganda is growing. It's something I really like. These days you'll find a number of initiatives that are being put in place for young innovators to get a chance to present their projects and probably get some funding for it. But of course, like I mentioned before, it always involves connections. If you don't have the right connections, you won't get that money. You basically just, it doesn't matter how good your project is, it will not make it. So we're really glad for this opportunity, the fact that DTU is trying its best to connect us with the right people. And we feel that that is really going to give us an edge compared to our compatriots that didn't come here. Thank you.
Harriet?
As for Kenya, our government is doing the best it can. The investment space in Kenya in terms of agriculture and innovation is majorly dominated by NGOs and organizations that are not from Kenya. For example, the World Food Programme, we have the agri-biodiversity from Italy. And what happens is we get investment in form of capital capacity building, not necessarily seed capital. So for most people, the government rarely invests in actual capital. What they do is they give us capacity building in form of training, seminars, recognition. We have been invited to trade fairs to showcase our product. That is what they do. What the government is also trying to do is to put us in a space where we can attract foreign investors. So they give us investment in form of capacity building, the trainings we attend, the seminars and the workshops that they do for us. Another form of investment is in form of accelerator programs, where we have competitions such as the National Science Fair, where people come and bring their innovative ideas and discuss. But in terms of actual seed funding, it's not so common unless you have actually started the project, you've scaled up, it's a recognized business, then you can get capital funding. But seed capital, not so great.
Okay, I think it's clear to everyone that it takes more than one institution like the ministry or one donor to make it a success. The key is partnership. And nobody would expect from each one of you, you students, that you take this, that you are the entire vehicle. It needs the cooperation between private sector, academia, practitioners, donors, and most of all, it has to be relevant. Whatever you come up with has to be relevant. So, Flemming, can I pass the word to you?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I would say I really feel it's so easy to be together. And I think we are just common in the sense of the need of what we're discussing here today. That's so important. My reflection, yes, we need partnerships. And I have to say to you that just as I mentioned in my speech, just before the summer we made a new Danish development strategy. 8 parties in Denmark agreed how the strategy should focus. And there we also have a chapter of partnerships. And the partnerships is really crucial to reach the goal and what we need. And it's all partners, nations, institutions, and private investors, NGO, and the multilateral. And I could just follow the line. Everybody has to be signing up that the SDGs goals is most important. And the question, if I can, how will the commitment be? The commitment will be there. And the reason is what I exactly said about our new strategy. We have said that we have to follow, we have to innovate. We have to be sure that all scientific institutions in Denmark and in the world will cooperate to follow and try to innovate the good solutions. So the commitment will be there. And I also have to say that the startups is not only a problem in developing countries. Startups is also a problem here in Denmark. I'm from the northern part of Denmark, where our university, Aalborg University, I think is quite famous to bring startups in a good position, as DTU also will focus on and also succeed. So it's so important. And I would say in my reflection to you, storage capacity, yes, of course. We know that about 1/3 of all produced food is not reaching a mouth. That's really, it's really critical. And then when we compare to the focus and the fact that 800 million people go to bed hungry. Financing, funding, yes, private and governmental cooperation. We try to do it, and we also focus on this in our new strategy. We simply want to be funding together the government and Danish funds, investments, pension funds, and so on. And I feel that the SDGs is really present to everybody in a new way. So I think it will be easier, and of course we have to follow that. And then I think when you said that awareness is an issue, how companies, farmers will be aware of new technologies, and they will be a little bit frightened. But we do not have the time that they should be frightened for a long time. So I think the communication here is really very needed, and we have to help each other there. Finishing, I will say that my father was a farmer, so I know a lot about how to produce food in Denmark. And I know how important water is in production of food. And we have one of the most critical situations now about the climate changes, and the water supply is really limited in many areas. I can
also say that for sure Denmark will focus a lot on water, and we will also focus from the government side and from my ministry's side in food security. That's a good combination, as I see it. And I'm educated as a nurse, so when you talk about malnutrition, I really know how malnutrition will affect people, communities, regions, and we have to find new innovative solutions to that. That's really needed if the world should be a better place to live, and that we should reach also that specific SDG on food security. And I hope that our meeting here today and the good cooperation between your countries and Denmark will really be a success, and that we can do much more about this. And I really want to follow up to see you in your own countries, and also there go to the field and see where the problems is when you talk about them, as storage capacity, financing and funding, but also maybe try to fight against the bad things about that. Awareness is really a problem. So I just want to thank everybody here. I'm leaving now. I wish you a very good meeting. I wish you a good weekend, and I'm so pleased to hear that you feel that you are in a good place. We want from the Danish side that you should go back to your countries, having a good feeling about that we have it by heart when we say that we want to cooperate with you, and that we have to be united in solving the big problem we are discussing here today. So thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you for coming. And I think you have a standing invitation to East Africa. Thank you so much for coming, and also keeping in mind that you have to document results, because Flemming can go nowhere if he can't say, hey, we actually get value for money. You know, it's actually something that moves the vehicle. So thanks so much, Flemming, for coming. Highly appreciated. But this can mess up everything, you know, if I don't move it. Hi. If they had taken that door, I would have said on the minister's way out, maybe we should think about setting up an axis of innovation and development between Denmark and East Africa. That could in many ways be such a nice and sustainable project as well. We were talking a lot about, so who are the users as well? And let me just, maybe Michael, you can help me, but one of my pitch lines when I went to donors while I was in East Africa was how huge WFP is when it comes to buying products, locally and regionally. In the olden times, we got a lot of in-kind contributions. Denmark would send vegetable oil and the wheat and things like that. Nowadays, the agency gets money. And it has a annual budget of 8.5 billion, of which I think in my time, $2.8 billion went to East Africa. We spent a lot of that money buying food locally from corporate farmers and regionally. That is an investment. So just to say also on your question, I forget your name, but Henning, on your question, you know, there's so many ways that need connecting, because when you start spending $800 million in a country like Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, even Somalia, that can make a huge difference for the predictability for the farmers to invest in their own agriculture. So just to put that on the table as well. Okay, so let's, we have this room until, I think, 20 past 11. So we still have time for questions. Yep. Get a mic. Oh, we forgot to give the cakes to the minister.
Yeah, I'm a student at DTU, and I did a project last year with using food waste for insects, and I was just wondering, have you tested on different sorts of insects, and how have the scalability been with the different insects? Because that was what we found super hard in the project, to make it more the mass production side of it. Yeah, and if you need any help, I would love to come down and help as well.
I think that was for Harriet.
Thank you. You're very much welcome. We have an experiment set up at Food Lab. You're very much welcome to see it. Our project primarily focuses on the black soldier fly. As everyone on this panel has mentioned, food waste is a big concern, and not only is it in terms of that it doesn't treat people's mouths, it also ends in landfills, and it leads to production of methane gas, which contributes to 67% of the total greenhouse gas emission in the world. So what we do is we are using black soldier fly to feed on the food waste. They're meticulous scavengers. They feed on everything, ranging from animal waste to food scraps. So we are using the black soldier fly to feed on them. Then once they've fed on them, the larvae feed on them. And then once the larvae are 10 days old, we harvest them, we dry them, and then we mix them with other constituents to provide a highly nutritious and total mix ratio feed for animals. So we are not rearing them for human consumption. We're doing it for manufacturing of feed because they have a crude percentage of 50% of protein, ranging from 44 to 50, depending on the type of substrate fed. So we are particularly focusing on black soldier fly as of the moment. However, yesterday we had the opportunity to meet Bagging Denmark, which is a company in Denmark that deals with insects, and we were speaking of ways in which you can bring that technology to Africa, because as of right now in Kenya, the ICIPE is an institute for International Center for Insect Physiology and Ecology, and they have been certified to now start distributing crickets as food to human beings in Kenya. So we're trying to look at the possible collaborations. As of now, we are focusing on black soldier fly. Maybe in future we could look into other insects. Thank you.
That gets very real. Thank you, Harriet. Yeah, gentlemen. Can I just, while you were taking the microphone, just tell everyone that those online, we were unfortunately not able to facilitate a streaming which allows the online audience to pass questions, and I apologize for that. Yeah, you got the microphone?
Hi, my name is Christopher. I'm Chief of Innovation at UNICEF. So in my experience, the biggest challenge in innovation for development, broadly speaking, is lack of clarity on who's going to buy the product. So we all talk about scale, and there's a huge challenge in this. We all recognize this. We all know that. And I think a big part of the challenge is that it's so difficult in many of these environments to figure out exactly who's going to pay for it. PATH, this big US NGO, innovation NGO, has this statement of there's those who choose, those who use, and those who pay the dues, which I think in an excellent way explains this complexity we are often working up against, that there isn't a buyer that pays for the product. And I think, unfortunately, it often results in that people just sort of ignore that because it's too complex, whereas if I had a wish, it would be to focus even more on it, exactly because it is so complex. So to really emphasize the business development side of it. And I think often we have to remember that because it is resource-scarce environments we're working up against, the competition for resources is intense. So whatever product we come with as innovators have to have an extremely strong value proposition, sort of with the notion of, sometimes I at least think that even if we could scale a product, we shouldn't, because it would be morally wrong to draw resources from other areas. So the specific questions to you guys is, who's going to buy the products you're developing and with what money, right? So I don't know whether it's subsidizing models you're working up against, or if it is farmers as individuals who will buy them. What sort of resource pool is this money being taken from? Is it replacing another purchase they're making, or is it sort of expanding, hoping to expand their overall market, meaning they'll have more money to buy these things with?
Michael, would you also like to reflect on that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to start or? Look, I think from a WFP perspective, certainly I'd be interested to hear from the students. You know, what we're trying to do is encourage the ecosystem. And it's not necessarily that we as WFP want to position ourselves as the buyers. I suspect that each one of these innovators have a particular market that they are pursuing, and it's primarily driven by demand from the private sector. And this is, I think, where the sustainability is going to come from. I think organizations such as UNICEF, ourselves, CARE, we can make some initial investments to lay a foundation, but ultimately it's going to be the private sector that takes whatever is being done to the next level. And this is what excites me the most. It's interesting, and you made a good comment. In WFP, within the region that we are overseeing, we bought 250,000 metric tons of food last year. We spent almost $150 million. That wasn't in innovation, that was just doing our day-to-day work. But as you put $150 million into the local economies, it works its way through, it multiplies, and it creates economic growth, where ultimately some of these ideas may further generate. So we are a food organization historically, but we have a much bigger footprint. We kind of lead the humanitarian space in the area of logistics. We lead the humanitarian space in the areas of telecommunications. We want to actually provide opportunities for a whole range of different profiles and stakeholders to engage in innovation. This one was very much focused around food, but I think going forward, and with support of DTU and others, there's opportunities to really engage more widely.
Thank you. I'll start. I like that you mentioned the aspect of circular economy. So in our business model, we take waste, so we don't have to buy the waste. In fact, it can even be a revenue stream because companies are looking for ways to manage their waste. County governments are looking for ways to ensure that the waste does not end up in landfills. So we collect waste and then we feed them to the larvae. Our production process is pretty much low cost. The only cost involved is in equipment and machinery and labor. We do not purchase input, we're just using resources locally available in the ecosystem. So what we do is once this larvae feeds on this waste, they break them down into biofertilizer, which is rich in microbiomes that are useful in crop cultivation in Africa. So what does is we are trying to take a problem and turn it into a solution to get two products. So we provide feed and fertilizer. Another thing to note is that from the market research we did in Kenya in 5 counties, namely Nakuru, Nairobi, Kitui, and Laikipia, we found that farmers spend up to 70% of their total revenue to purchase inputs. And this was clearly highlighted last year with the pandemic when our country was under lockdown, and there was such shortage of these farm inputs, and the prices skyrocket. So what we're trying to do is to provide an affordable, eco-friendly product that considers the circular economy. And for every dollar that we make, we ensure that the world is a better place. Because what we are doing, by providing an alternative source of protein for animal feed, we are alleviating pressure on marine life. Because in our country, for example, in Lake Victoria, the government has been having issues with farmers because of overfishing. Because they're trying to find, we call them mackerels, which can be used as animal feed because it's a source of protein. So by providing these insects, these highly nutritious larvae, we are reducing the pressure on marine life. What we're also doing is we're helping in terms of climate action, how the minister mentioned, because our production process stops the waste from reaching landfills. And in this process, we're reducing the greenhouse gas emission by up to 47%. We're not just doing that. In terms of, we have seen that one of the challenges in Africa in food production and security is because majority of arable land is being used for urbanization and industrialization. And so we don't see the need why a farmer should have to plant soybean, for example, to use it on animals. While our soya has 39% protein composition, our product has between 44 to 50, depending on the type of substrate fed. So we are working on climate action, reducing pressure on land, And we're also working on reducing pressure on marine life. We're trying to work on a total circular economy to make sure that we make profit as a business, the farmer also makes profit, and that the consumer has more access to food. Because if we reduce the cost of production, the farmer can produce more at the same cost, at the same price that he was producing, he can produce more, and hopefully more food, and more people can be able to access food. And then what ends up as waste is not used, but you bring it back into the ecosystem. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you. Good point. Do you want to add to what Harriet said? From your perspectives?
Yeah. Okay. So looking at the people going to buy our products at the end of this, so the issue of storage is not just at the farm level when it comes to vanilla. It's at the farm level, it's also faced by the companies that do process the vanilla. And the fact that most of the farmers don't actually have the money to set up the facilities that can process their vanilla, they sell it off at an early stage to these companies that do the long-term storage of the vanilla. So the farmers have the issue of storage, and the companies also have the issue of storage. But at this stage, we're first looking at the companies that are actually capable of storing the vanilla for a longer time. Then when we cover the companies and they're able to store the vanilla safely, then we can move on to the farmers. Because our entire goal is to empower the farmers, to put the money back into the farmers who are actually doing much and yet are earning the least. Working with companies like Social Vanilla, that is actually looking at empowering the farmers, they will be able to set up these facilities in the countries that actually produce the vanilla. So this is where our system comes into place, in that we are able now to provide the system to these farmers to be able to prolong the shelf life of their vanilla. Thank you.
Thanks, Joachim.
Okay, so in our case, the Fabarli project's main aim is providing nutritious food products from locally sourced crops, and they are faba beans and barley. So people have been using them for a really long period of time, but not in the right way that they get the nutritional content they should get from them. So what we are doing is we produce these products which are high in nutritional content, and also we prepare them from raw materials which are easily accessible and affordable, and provide it to those who are prone to malnourishment. And in our case, since the prevalence is really high in children are our target markets. So the parents, we need to address the parents, and also we are also looking on options on how we can diversify our target markets, such as incorporating our food products onto the school feeding program in Ethiopia, for example. So this is actually a new concept in Ethiopia, which is being implemented since last year. But instead of letting children consume food products that are not well nutritionally fit, those products which are made of wheat, which can be cheaper, but in terms of nutrition are a bit degrading, they can serve our products, which are aimed to contain between 20 up to 25% of protein content, and are able to fully satisfy the daily nutritional requirements of a child. So this is what our project was all about, and we actually produced them at the food lab, and we are going to present them to the minister, but sadly he went, so maybe if you want to grab a bite.
4 cookies on auction now.
Yeah, so I think I pretty much explained what our project is about. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirubel. Thank you. Okay. Before we close, any final questions? Yes?
Thank you. My name is Afton Halloran, and I wear many hats, but I'll put on the hat of the Food Planet Prize. So I'm the head of nominations for a relatively new prize that is the largest in the world, that is funding in relation to food systems. And we're giving away 2 times $1 million to new innovations and new ideas that will change the food system. And so one of the interesting things that I've seen because I look at all the nominations that come in, is really when it comes to new ideas, when it comes to things that are just starting, there can also be a sense of skepticism towards, will this work, will it fail, can we invest in something like this? Now, we're a prize that is investing in things that do have the potential to make change, but could potentially fail, because I think we need to take that risk. But at the same time, we also see investors and other kinds of institutions that are skeptical of things that are relatively new. So how do we deal with that? How do we actually bring these kinds of innovations to the forefront, knowing that we could potentially come up against challenges in the future, but that, in a sense, is life. So how do we actually get around that? How do we convince funders to invest in these kinds of projects? Thank you.
I don't know if you have the answers. We've spoken a little bit about it so far. We have Hans-Peter, our chair of the IDA Global Development Board now, and then Line. Jean.
I myself, I went up at the road here as a student in DTU here in Lyngby for more than 40 years ago. I was a student politician, we call it studenterpolitik i Studienævn og Konsistorium. And we were fighting for work with projects, and we were fighting for more broader society perspective, samfundsorienteret teknologi. And it was very difficult 40 years ago. Then we went back for the 40 years anniversary, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, with your rector, your director. And it was just amazing for us, being in the student politics for 40 years ago, that we got all that we wanted and fighted for 40 years ago. The new director talking about SDGs, internationalization, many people from outside, students here, collaboration with the South developing countries, SDGs. The director here talked a lot about SDGs. I was really amazed. We could not believe that such positive changes in our old university, DTU, DTH. Well, in IDA Global Development, we have a logo up there together with the ministry and DTU and World Food Program, and I hope we very much can collaborate with these partnerships, as the minister stressed today, so we can do more together. Also involving IDA, as many of you are students, are probably already member of IDA, and hopefully also in the future when you are graduated. We are doing in IDA Global Development very good meetings, we believe. And part of that because we recruit very good people for the board. We have 2 people from World Food Program, Torben and Erika. We have Louise here around from DTU. So we hope that you can also see that with some of our meetings, public meetings, you can get broader perspective, because I know more than many other people what is a narrow engineer trained 40 years ago in this institution. So I think this to be much broader, to understand society in Denmark, but also international and the sustainable development. We have many good things, many good meetings. Just 10 days ago, we had the same Flemming minister, where we challenged him on the budget, finance law budget draft presented in late August. How is that related to the new strategy that NIDA approved in the parliament in June? We also challenged the minister on lack of staff or less professional staff in the ministry, where we believe there are a need for more professionals to do all these challenges. So I hope you will follow us, be member of IDA Global Development. You get a newsletter. You can also see in Global Nyt, you can see our announcement of meetings. So let's hope to continue this good partnership. So thanks so much, Erika.
Thank you, Hans-Peter. I should have pointed that out, but I knew sooner or later you would take the microphone. Okay, we have one last question or comment, a follow-up, and if it's a good one, you will get a cookie before I turn over for the final comments from the panel.
Yeah, you were asking about how do we create that investment, and I want just to tell you that I just went to the World Investment Summit, And there were some key things. It's all the Nordic Oil Fund, Pension Denmark, Danish Bank, and everybody. And they really said one thing, that the climate crisis has to be solved. And they're using a lot of money to fund that. So when you talk into how food and climate and restoring the planet can work together, it's really where the money are. And the other thing is, if you're looking at the environmental reports from all the global companies, you will see that the demand for the suppliers is that they're working on it. So this demand, the small, medium-sized company is meeting now. And the CEO of the Danish Bank also say that if you want to have a loan, you will probably, it's probably going to be a demand in the very near future. They're already making sure that advisors is working on that. So we see a change in shift from the whole investment community and all the small, medium sizes. So the whole thing is, how do you make it accessible for a small, medium-sized company to work with you guys who do something? And what is really important here is the collaboration with DTU universities to create the data transparency. That was a key thing for them, the credibility to avoid greenwashing. And that's the research around that is really important. So the timing is right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the money there is going so fast. There's several hundred billions. The fossil fuel industry was losing in value, but the other kind of industry was, the sustainable industries was like Tesla and others, was really rising in value for the stakeholders. So a climate crisis is an investment risk now. Yeah. And that's something new, and it was really, really clear on that. So working in with that as a university, as a funding, we are trying to work with that with our financial model, using blockchain technology as a part of making this crowdfunding for the innovation, speeding up the thing. But they're really working a lot of the large project, but if we can invite them, what I will like is the small project, you guys working with the mind, with the technology, low-tech technology, it can be used, and then the funding can go on. And I think the key is the small, medium-sized
Those
companies.
are really, from both of you, really crucial points. I mean, there has to be sustainability, and we have to document results, and there has to be scalability and relevance. And therefore, the partnership can't be too small. We need people like you in this type of partnership as well. So once we have finished here, I encourage those of you who can stay behind to mingle. We can't use this room, but there's a cafe area outside. Now, before closing, I want to give the word to each of the panel members for a very brief closing reflection. Marianne.
I can start. My reflection is that the difference between the struggles that you have and the struggles that the startups in Denmark have is actually not necessarily very different. It's the same. And I think you can make it if we work together, if we try to bring in good competences. I'm sure you have a lot of good competences. So create partnerships and so on. The team is the most important in startups. I think we all know that. You cannot make it without money, but I think you have a very good story. So I wish you best of luck and would love to follow up with you as time goes by.
Thank you, Marianne. Michael?
I want to congratulate the teams. You've made it by getting to Denmark. The investments that you're getting from DTU and others, I think will lay a very good foundation for your future endeavors. I'd like to thank DTU and particular elements, Roberto and co, for the work that you have been doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we can build this partnership out even further and perhaps spread it physically within parts of Eastern Africa. And thanks very much for coming today. We don't have all the answers. We're looking for people to advise us how we can make this even more successful going forward. So, we're open to ideas, we're open to innovating, and looking forward to engaging into the future. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Michael. Harriet?
This has been a very interesting journey, and what I particularly reflect on right now is the need to involve the youth in coming up with innovative solutions, because we usually say that the youth are the leaders of the future, but there's something about beginning that journey now, because you get to feel a part of the process. You get to feel like you're part of something bigger. I have also learned the importance of calculating innovation in entrepreneurship. Initially, you just think of a business, you think of how it's going to work, the revenue model, but once you start looking at it from an innovative perspective, you get to realize that you can reach more people and impact more people. The greatest lesson I have learned from this partnership and my stay at DTU, I can't emphasize, is on the need for sustainable solutions. Initially, we were thinking, okay, so we are reducing the greenhouse gas emission by 47%, but by meeting with our researchers, we are trying to make our production process green. Like the entire circular economy needs to be sustainable. We are more conscious about the environment in terms of how do we get our inputs, how do we handle our packaging. We are very environmentally conscious, and it's just interesting to have a different perspective in terms of sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you, Harriet. And Joachim, final words?
First of all, I would like to thank Hout Prize, because I think we didn't mention this at the beginning. It's Hout Prize that actually got us the opportunity at the beginning. So I would like to thank Hout Prize for the opportunity, because they give chances to startups to compete and to get into the stage. And then World Food for organizing everything. Magana, you've done really great. Thanks for the opportunity. And then DTU, you've really been good. Everyone is nice. It's very surprising how everyone in Denmark is nice. I've not yet met anyone who is rude or something. Yeah. So we are really grateful for the opportunity. We are learning a lot. It's like totally different from what we get at our university. Our universities are great, but this is much more, it's mind-blowing. So thank you very much. One of the things I've really learned is teamwork is very important. You can't really achieve if you're trying to build a startup if you guys can't work together. So working with a team is very important, and that is something that we'll take back home. That is something that we will try to teach the other people who come together, because so many people come together to build something, but they can't work together. Everyone has something they want to do, but they don't have a common goal. So that is very important.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Kiribel, final words? And I could just say, we have to make a few phone calls to get the weather right for you to come. Kiribel.
So apart from what Harriet and Joachim said, they pretty much said all the things what I was about to say. But, there are lots of things I could say about Denmark and, of course, DTU. And what I learned throughout this journey, and especially in my stay, it's our second week here in Denmark, and what we had the chance to talk to different people, to connect with different people, and there's this conception of Africa they draw in their head that, there could be some challenges, we could be going through some stuff, but Africa is also home of innovations and home to different cultures, heritage, and there's a lot to learn from Africa. So I think programs like this would be really important to promote that Africa is also home of innovations, and that's what I wanted to say. So thank you.
And Africa is home to 52 countries. What really can make me so furious is when, we have the United States, Denmark, Germany, and Africa. Oh, really? Anyway, okay. So on behalf of IDA Global Development, I really want to express deep appreciation to all of you who have made possible, to the audience for coming, to those online, to our friends in the Kakuma camp, to our panel members, to Magana, all those who have put so much effort into this. It has been inspiring. You have been very inspiring. You have been very engaging. You have impressed us all. And I think we all leave this room encouraged and motivated. And thanks also to DTU. This is the beginning of a very strong partnership, and hopefully with IDA Global Development and as one of the born partners. So thanks all. And as I said, there's space to mingle outside.